Hello everyone, this is Jimmy and welcome to episode 33 of Celestial Journey. Last episode we set up our Rune of Fire automation here, and we can see that it's been running for a while. If we look for Runes of Fire, we have 5001, which I think is just more than our threshold here, which is set to 5000. Yeah, so this system has since turned off. We have a full chest of runes here, which has turned off this export bus, which has turned off the crafting here. Cool. So now all we have to do is to extend the system to cover the other runes. However, each of the other runes has, a couple unique challenges in them. Let's take a look at them in order. Runes of Air take cotton seed bags and wildwood leaves. So if we go off the assumption that we need, 10,000 runes, we need some way to automatically generate wildwood leaves, because that's probably more than I want to gather. Actually, let's make a quick trip there and see how long it takes to gather those. Maybe 10,000 isn't as much as I think. So my plan is just to turn on magnet mode in my on my wireless terminal here. We have plenty of infinity energy now, so it works fully wirelessly. I'm just gonna give it a test. And I'll spend like a minute doing this, I guess, and see how much I get. If I can gather this in like a couple minutes, then in the end it'll be faster to shear trees than it will be to try to set up a farm for leaves. Alright, it's been a couple minutes. Let's see how we did. I used up all the food in my meat feeder, so I had to pull out some pineapples, but Draconic Evolution armor automatically eats for you too, which is nice. 13,000 leaves. Okay, yeah, I mean, that took maybe about 5 minutes, and 13,000 is enough to last the rest of the game. I expect maybe I'll need to come back here for a few more later, but 13,000 leaves makes 2 runes per leaf, so 25,000 runes. Sometimes it's okay to just manually gather stuff if you can do it quick enough. Anyways, the other thing is cotton seeds. So we need cotton seeds for that and regular wheat seeds for this, and bone meal is a different recipe. So given that, I want to see if I can plan to have a farm to make these instead of that. If you remember, here, let me just go to it. This little seed generator I made for whatever plant this is, for Zeracium. But let me try setting up a different kind of farm. I remember testing with the Ender IO farm, and it wasn't working because the Ender IO farm wouldn't harvest the plant; it would just right-click the plant. But if I try using the Industrial Foregoing farm system, I think maybe it'll work. So the farming system here consists of 2 blocks. There is a plant sower, which plants the seeds, and a plant gatherer, which harvests them. You generally speaking want to match the range of your sower to your gatherer, so we can see that's a range of 1 and they overlap neatly. One thing about it is that these they plant, the sower plants 1 plant per 5 ticks, and this gathers 1 plant per 3 tick, or it's also 5. So for optimal results, you want your farms to be kind of small. Anyways, let's try planting cotton. I guess I have to unlock it to do this. Cotton in half and wheat in the other half, and we should see that it plants them. Conveniently, this is designed to go 1 tile below the surface so that you have room for a water source block there. Lastly, we just need some type of growth acceleration so that this doesn't take the better part of forever. Right, here it is with our imaginary time block. Apparently, the imaginary time block only goes out 7, so I'm gonna shrink everything down, or it only goes out like 3 tiles, so it's a 7x7, whereas I made the farm a 9x9, so I'm gonna shrink everything just a tiny bit to make it a little bit neater, I think. But anyways, this should be gathering seeds. So yeah, this has the advantage of it gets seeds as well as the crops. I'll probably just void the wheat and cotton, honestly. I mean, I guess I'll store it in a drawer, no harm. But what we're really after here are the seeds. I love just stacking growth accelerators, so instead I just made they're powered by 4 imaginary time blocks. I think each one ends up using like 300 RF a tick on average. So it's like 1200 RF a tick, whatever. Practically 0. Anyways, one thing to keep in mind when using this kind of farm, first of all, I actually don't know if you have to void the sludge, so we might as well. boarding the sledge didn't seem to change anything. I remember in the 1.7 version of this mod, it was very important not to let the sledge fill up, but I think in this version it doesn't matter. Anyways, the other thing is because the planter or the harvester, this is a harvester, it gets the seeds in here, you have to make sure that the harvester sends seeds to the planter before it sends to storage. So if we head, let's see, over here, we can see that coming out of the plant gatherer, I have all these seeds. I'm sending them into the plant sower here at a higher priority than I am the storage, which is all the way down here at a lower priority. So, yep, those are now just being stored in drawers. It produces wheat seeds, cotton seeds, and some useless stuff. In the end, I think this system is laggy. Well, my computer is laggy. This system isn't laggy. I think the system is slower overall than my other seed producer, but I don't know. They're both different ways to solve similar problems. Talking about lag, though, one thing we do want to keep in mind is tick time. And oh boy, that's most of the time when I do this, I see it at about a hair over 40 milliseconds, which is fine as long as we're staying below 50. We're in good shape. So I don't know why that one sample showed a high tick time, but generally speaking, we have a little bit of overhead left to grow, which is good because we'll need it. The only item left then in Rune of Air is light blue wool, specifically light blue for some reason, but I mean whatever. I'll just set up a crafter to handle it on our big wall there. The other item, the concentrated cloud seed bucket, I had a vat making that for some time now. Back from when we first made runes, and it has 7,000 buckets in it, which will easily handle our demand. There we have it, a crafter that makes light blue wool out of dye essence and regular wool. I think our regular wool just comes from, I'm actually not sure what makes it, but we have 392,000 of it, so I must have had a sheep farm. I mean, it's not being crafted right now. I honestly don't know where 391,000 wool came from, but I mean, we have it. We probably had a sheep essence seed that was doing it. I don't know why it's not making it anymore, but whatever. 400,000, that'll last. Upon closer inspection, it seems like we are still producing white wool. Just what I was looking at earlier, I didn't notice that number tick up. It only ticks up once every couple seconds, so come on. You can do it. Don't make me a liar. There we go. So we put our pattern into the interface that's touching the mechanical user, and we supply all the materials through the ME interface here, and we should see that this should start crafting any minute now. Why does it not think? Oh, I did the pattern wrong. Hold on. Let's try that again. Before I had the pattern saying it was making the elemental inscription tool, not the actual rune. We'll put that's not where you put it. You put it here. And it should show up here. It should start crafting any minute now. Let's manually kick one off. Actually, I think it hasn't started yet because I haven't configured this export bus. Yeah. But just for testing, let's kick one craft off manually. It says it has all the supplies. Hey, and it worked. Alright, cool. So then all I have to do is configure this export bus to export runes of air. And now this should auto-craft them as soon as there are supplies. The bottleneck is my supply of Eris here, because Eris is also used to make this elemental inscription tool, right, 4-to-1. So, yeah, there won't always be Eris on hand here. But when there is, it'll try to craft. So, much like the Rune of Fire, now Rune of Air are automated. And I have this set to 5,000 as well. So it'll craft until we have 5,000. Next up, Rune of Earth. So this one I think might be a bit simpler. There's nothing in here. Right, we just did wheat seeds. I guess I need to set up an auto crafter for mushroom stew and one for vines. But besides that, it's just the same setup, so I'll do that off camera. The Rune of Water, we have a slight bottleneck here because we have to make fish jerky. Well, no matter what you do, it's going to take 5 minutes. So my plan is just to fill up the entire side of our nuclear reactor with fish drying, because that is 100% safe and will not result in any radioactive fish. Thankfully, it looks like all we have to do is whoopsie, that's not the right side. Put item conduits all along the drying racks here, and then they can insert and extract the same side. Yeah, like so. And I can, craft the fish out of Guardian Essence, and we'll store them into a drawer when it's done. Alright, here we have it. In total, somewhere around 64-ish drying racks. So it produces, on average, 1 dried fish every 5 seconds. And these fish are stored here. So, totally not radioactive, 100% USDA organic fish jerky. And now automated crafting of all of our runes is up and running. They're not running 100% of the time still due to lack of these reagents. I think Eris is actually the one that's particularly lacking. Let's see, what is this one use? Right, because these two don't actually use those. So let's see, do I have Eris? I do not, obviously. How do I craft it? It's not, how is it spelled? A-E-R-I-S. There it is. Maybe I'll go ahead and dedicate a second alchemy table to this just to speed it up a bit. That's the beauty of the system I have set up here. Previously, we just had one alchemy table making Eris. Now I just have to drop down a second alchemy table and configure a single item conduit with a limited item filter. And now, just like that, our production's doubled. And if it turns out we need more, well, just as simple as to, keep stacking these vertically. But as you can see, our count of all the basic runes is now automatically going up. So why don't we start putting these to use? With that, I think we're ready to make the gems, or at least the fire gem, right? So yeah, we've done everything in fire gem. Actually, I guess while we're in the process of securing materials, let's secure all the materials for all these other gems. So shimmer leaf, this one's going to be a little challenging. I wonder how we get shimmer leaf. Anyways, next up we have the air gem. So the air gem has runes of air, gas pumpkins. These are just a crafting recipe. I'll probably set up gas seeds instead of a gas mob farm, because gas are a little tricky in mob farms because they're massive. But besides that, nothing unusual. Looking at this, there's a couple challenges here. Sunny quartz is quartz around sunflowers. And while sunflowers can be made in the, infusion pool, we have to drop flowers in there like 7 different cycles. I think, yeah, poppy is the flower that we start with right now. So we have to go poppy to, yada, yada, yada. So I'm going to have to set up a number of mana pools for that. Which item was I looking at? Let's start with that then. I'll start by making our sunflower crafter. There's a few ways we can handle this. Fundamentally, the challenge we're trying to overcome is that when you throw a flower into the pool, when you actually succeed in throwing the flower into the pool, if you just let it stay there, what will happen is most of the ingredients will actually pop out of the pool when they're done. Not quite 100%, however. Sometimes some of them, when they're done crafting, will actually fall back into the pool. And, if it falls back into the pool, it'll craft into the next step. So you want to pick up the item pretty quickly. In fact, if you look there, some of them are still continuing to fall into the pool. So what you want to do is, at least what I'm going to do is, I have a mana pool for each step, and I'm going to configure the vacuum chest here to pick up, the first step item, the second step item, and then, let me perhaps describe this better. Starting from poppies, the first mana pool here will be configured not to pick up poppies, but to pick up whatever they become. So this one will be for blue orchids. And then this mana pool, this next mana pool will not be for blue orchids, but rather it'll be for alums. So what I'm going to do then is I'm going to send poppies into this open crate, and it'll drop them, turn them into blue orchids, which should get picked up by this vacuum chest. I have them all set to a range of 1 so that they'll only pick up items coming out of the mana pool. And I think range 1 is enough that because the items start centered, it'll start sucking them before they reach the edge here. Where the problem is, if I set the range to 2, right, they'll be in range of the other mana pools, which I want to avoid. If it comes to it that I need range 2 for it to like work, I can just spread the mana pools out further too. But anyways, I'm going to try range 1 for now. So yeah, I'm going to go ahead and configure each of these vacuum chests for the next flower in the line. To round out the build, I have export buses sending in order. We have poppies in this one, blue orchids in this one. Basically, they export down the line, and they export into a single slot chest, and whether or not we extract from the chest is, it should be 2000, is controlled by a level emitter set to emit when under 2000 of each flower. So when this system reaches steady state, it should keep 2000 of each flower in stock. All I have left to do is to plug it in by connecting that P2P interface to something. So let's see, find one that's not in use, link that up to here. We should see all those lights turn on in a second. That's kind of our sign that it's running. All those level emitter lights turning on. Any second now. Level emitters. There's the level emitters. Alright, what's happening here? Why is this not connected? Device online, 0 channels. Oh, there we go. Alright, now they all turn on, and we can see the dropping starts happening. Uh-oh, I just saw an item get yoinked here. So it looks like... no, maybe it's... I see items getting pulled out of mana pools every now and then. Let me see if I can figure out what exactly is causing that. Alright, I more or less fixed the problem by setting the range of all of these to 2. I think what was happening is that when the final product comes out, if the initial vector has a, like from this pool, has a product splashing out like this, sometimes the vacuum chest there with range 1 just doesn't, it doesn't suck on it hard enough to like pull the item in before it gets out of range. So now we can, just looking from here, we see there's tons of flowers being dropped, and if we look for vanilla flowers, let's see, how can I search that? Is it... What is the, one second. What is the search for or dictionary? Disabled. Well, let's turn you enabled. $. That doesn't seem to work. Well, whatever. I guess just searching the, because I don't have it on required prefix. Anyways, just looking at this, we can see that our numbers for all of these flowers are ticking up. What's actually happening is, each flower that gets dropped into this pool will end up getting dropped into that pool, then that one, all the way down the line until we have 2,000 of whichever one is in the last pool, lilacs. And then this one will turn off, and then it'll start filling sunflowers, and it'll go, back the chain until all 10 of these are done. So anyways, I just have to let this run a bit, and this is our flower automation fully set up. While that runs, I want to ahead and take a look at, what might the bottlenecks be in this process, or in our rune crafting. And I think the production of pufferfish is pretty slow. Yeah, in fact, we have none. So right now I'm making pufferfish by getting them as drops from regular guardians, which according to this is a 13% chance and not affected by looting, apparently. So, only 1 in 7-ish? 1 in 7.5 drop a pufferfish. Why don't we, I assume do I have use for like clownfish and all these things? Fish jerky. If I don't, yeah, why don't I set up a dropper system, kind of like what we have for flowers, but to make pufferfish. As a shortcut though, because I don't need clownfish and I don't need raw salmon, I think I can do it with just a single mana pool by keeping the dropping raw fish and keeping it inside until it becomes pufferfish. So the way I have this set up is like what, similar as before. Export bus controlled by level emitter sends, in this case, we're doing guardian essence to make raw fish because, that's how I get raw fish into a crafter that dumps it into an open crate. And to keep the materials, like when they craft to the next tier, I just have to keep them from leaving the mana pool. It's okay for them to sit on the edge of the mana pool like that. They'll still, manage to craft into the next tier. So what happens is, they do that until they craft into pufferfish. And lastly, this vacuum chest is set to only pick up pufferfish, and then it'll eventually dump them into an enemy interface over here. So this is our pufferfish crafter. In hindsight, I think it actually would have been better to make this type of design for all of these. So basically, they all get supplied with whatever the basic flower here was, poppies, and they stay in the same mana pool until they reach whatever state, the final state. That way there's a lot less like dropping and stuff going on. It just means that I have to build these cages around all of them. One thing that's actually somewhat important here is that there is a conduit facade. I painted it with the same like glass as this around this item conduit, because if that wasn't there, then items would land, on the like lip of the vacuum chest, and those items will get stuck and never, end up back in the mana pool. But in any event, I think these two systems show similar and yet slightly different ways to accomplish the same task. And in the time I was setting up the pufferfish, you can see that our lilacs have reached at least 2,000, I assume. A hair over 2,000, so this one's shut off. That means that the last step in the chain now is sunflowers. Right, and these are going up. For everything else in the chain, their count should be going up approximately at the same rate that it's going down. So if we check pink tulip, like we have a handful of them, but yeah, as you see, basically for each pink tulip that gets created, one gets used up, further down the line. A bit of a long shot, but I want to test if imaginary time blocks affect how fast like the pure daisy works. I seriously doubt it, but you never know if you don't confirm these things, right? Out. So if it worked, I would have expected it to have transformed by now. Yeah, unsurprisingly it doesn't. Oh well. So that flower system takes care of the sunny quartz. Air reagents have to be made in a hellfire forge. Oh boy, this is a lot of... I guess that's just like a tier 1 jetpack. However, I've actually never automated the collection of will in Blood Magic, this version of Blood Magic before, so I'm going to put that off for tomorrow. First, I want to actually explore the Shimmer Leaf some more. So I want to first see if, does the Thaumonomicon give us any hints on how we can duplicate Shimmer Leaf? Because I think it's somewhere here. Let's see. Maybe not. So let's test a few things. Do shimmer leaves spread if just planted? And I suspect the answer is no, because they never have before, and I don't know why they would start now. Do they grow when I grow a silverwood sapling? Doesn't look like that grew any. Doesn't look like that grew any. What if I grow the silverwood sapling in a magical forest biome? Let's go head over to one and try. So notice like the decay of silverwood leaves can produce quicksilver droppings, but obviously that's not shimmerwood. So I have it bound on my teleporter. I have a magical forest here. Let's see, because I know this is a terrain they generate in. If we look around, maybe we can spot some. I think they tend to generate around the trees, like the silverwood trees that generate in here, or maybe even the greatwoods. Like there's a V-shroom, which is like the corrupted version of it. Wow, I haven't found any yet. Maybe they don't generate here? Well anyways, the thing I wanted to test was one of these statues was if I grow one of these in this biome, does it, I doubt it will, but does it generate silver shimmer leaf with it? But yeah, that doesn't appear to be the case. There's some in the wild. So yeah, they only generate reasonably rarely in the wild around naturally generated silverwood trees. And I think the reason we have a few is because our Quarry picked them up. But in all the areas that the Quarry hit, only got a few shimmer leaves because it's in, this is a relatively rare biome, and even within the biome, it's a relatively rare block. One thing I was curious about is, do they generate around silverwood trees that generate in non-magical biomes? And the answer appears to be yes. Here in this birch forest, this silverwood tree had shimmer leaves around it. So now I just need to find a way to create some place that generates a lot of natural silverwoods. So let's head over to our RF Tools dimensions and see what options we have as far as that goes. All right, so the most obvious option or possibility is just, can we, is there a shimmer leaf dimlet? Didn't think there was. Next, is there silverwood? I don't believe so. No silverwood. So the next best thing we can do then, I think, is I can generate a world that is entirely made of magical forests, and I can make it flat. And I think that way, I can just run a quarry across the whole thing, filtered for shimmer leaves, and we can see how many we get. Even if it's not a lot, like we technically only need 4 per air gem. Now, the fact that we need thousands of air gems is a little off-putting, but I think this is a start. Let's run with this lead and see where it goes. So to make a magical forest biome, I have to take a biome absorber, put it here in the magical forest. I'm not sure if I need to give it a redstone signal. Does it say? Place a block in the area. It doesn't say, so I don't think, oopsies, I do. I just have to leave it here for a while. You see, now it's 1%. This here is trunk loaded, so I'll come back for it eventually. I went and crafted all the other supplies we might need, and our biome absorber has since finished, so let's make a dimension here. I want it to be flat terrain, and let's see, what is it? Too few biomes for single. So before I make the dimension, I need to make the, turn this into a dimlet. So what do I need for this? I need one lightning bolt and red dot. Let's see. 1 lightning bolt. Where was it? Dimlet controller type? I think that was the right one. One lightning bolt. I feel like I'm missing something. Hold on. Alright, so put all the pieces in here, double click this. Whoopsies. I need 1 lightning bolt and, I need the green hill, not the red hill, of course. 1 lightning bolt and green hill. Now let's try that again. Wait. I need 1 red dot. Jeez. The system is needlessly complex, but whatever. I just can't see. Now I can make one of these. Alright, so now that I have the dimension dimlet, or the biome dimlet, I don't actually know, does the biome go before or after the controller? I guess it doesn't matter. It doesn't seem to complain to me either way, so I don't think it matters. Alright, so this dimension should be completely flat, with the exception of, trees and lakes and whatever that might generate. It'll be, actually, let me specify a couple more. I want it to have no features, no structures, and what does this do? No special effects, sure. So special effects are things like, saturation, wither. There's a few good ones, and mostly the effects are bad. Anyways, so it should be a completely flat mono biome world that is all magical forest, which should give us the best shot at having shimmer leaves in it. So store this, put this into our, let's see, I have a second dimension builder here. If I unpower this dimension, I think what might happen is in unpowered dimensions, machines get disabled, but Cursed Earth doesn't. So I think if I empower this dimension, I run the risk of letting the withers free and breaking everything. So I just made a second dimension builder. These are pretty cheap, all things considered. So once this is done, which it will be very shortly, we should be able to teleport to it. If I can find where my teleporter is. That magical forest, let's teleport there. And here we are. So taking a look around, let's bind this to our teleporter just so we have it. And let's rename it as well. It is renamed, how nice. So it looks like the world is completely flat, and I already see a handful of silverwood trees. So let me just check them real quick, make sure, yep, there's our shimmer leaves. Alright, so all I have to do then is set up a quarry. Okay, you die. Set up the builder that mines on exactly this Y level. Looks like it's Y level 63. I'm not sure. Yeah, my feet are on 63. So all we have to do is set a builder that mines on Y level 63. Well, there's a lot of mobs. I guess I should have made a peaceful dimlet for this as well. But whatever, it doesn't really matter. Anyways, mines at Y level 63 and only mines shimmer leaves, because honestly I don't care for anything else. So our builder is set up. If we look at our preview here, it'll only mine that one layer because 100% of the shimmer leaves that generate in this dimension will be on that level. So that'll mean it should be pretty quick. Now I have a filter here that is, let's see, whitelisted, only for shimmer leaves. Let's match MBT and damage as well. And anyways, put this here. I'm dumping it into our triple white ender chest, which so far doesn't do anything, but I'll make this just generic AE system input and on. So, all right, look at that. We're already starting to get a few. I expect it'll be pretty slow. Let's see, over the course of 1,089 chunks, it looks like it's getting, so over the course of 50 chunks, it's gotten about 17. So like 3 per, or 1 per 3 chunks. If that's a representative rate, then over the course of 1,000 chunks, it'll pick up, how do I do math? Divided by 3, somewhere around 300 to 400. But yeah, it's actually quite fast. It's already 10%, almost 10% done with the chunks I had assigned to it. So actually, I'm just gonna stay here for a couple minutes and see how many I get after, you know, all 1,080 something chunks are done. So it's done. The good news is that it only took like less than 5 minutes. The bad news is it only got a hair over 3 stacks. So what is this? 3 times 64 plus 9. 128, 100, just under 200, just over 200, right around 200. So about 1 in 5 chunks. It's not great because basically if that was 1/4 of this, right? My plan is now, after each one, what I'll do is, so now I have to change the sign on the z-axis. I'll change this sign to positive 256. I can put it back and run it again, and now it'll get, you know, previously it did like this quarter, now it'll do this quarter. And then after that's done, I can, you know, change the configs and do all 4 quadrants. After I do the 4 quadrants, my plan is to just leave this dimension, remake effectively the same dimension, except with a, what's it called, a digit, I believe? Yeah, with a digit dimlet. That'll effectively re-roll the dimension with a different seed. And that way, what it'll do is it'll, you know, regenerate like this platform. I can move these 2 or 3 blocks that need to be moved, go over to that new dimension, and rerun the quarry there. However, this is still going to take a lot of manual work to get what is effectively 3 stacks of shimmer leaf per each time I move like each time I come here and reset the quarry, which isn't great. Earlier when I was running this, I think I forgot to turn preview mode off. Now that with preview mode off, it looks like it can actually go through one quadrant, let's call it, in something like a minute and a half, which is actually really quick. I think the limiting factor is actually how long it takes my computer to generate all these chunks. Because in order for this to mine the chunk obviously first has to be generated. A downside then is that we're generating 4,000 chunks in each dimension, and we're taking like a handful of items out of it altogether. But what can you do? All right, now we're just finishing up the fourth quadrant, and out of this whole dimension, then, well, I guess at least these four, it's basically what 512 by so 1,000 by 1,000 in each way, like in each dimension. So out of 1,000,000 blocks that we checked, we got exactly 10 stacks of shimmer leaf. That's pretty close to the rate we got out of the first quadrant. And a quick check confirms that I did indeed mine these blocks, because there wouldn't be, grass blocks sticking up above the terrain. These were the blocks that were actually placed by the builder when it mined the shimmer leaf that used to be here. So yeah, it's working. Anyways, I think this is not a great solution, but it's enough to unblock us for the time being. So I'll, accept that begrudgingly. That said, because let's take a look at neutronium. Neutronium each pile takes 1 air gem, and then this to upgrade a pile to a nugget takes another 9 air gems. So it takes 10 air gems or 40 shimmer leaf to make a single nugget. And then to make a nugget into an ingot takes 40 times 9, 360. So that's just under 6 stacks to make a single. So all of the shimmer leaf we got from here so far makes an ingot and a half of neutronium. And we need 6 ingots of it before we can even make our first neutron collector. Technically, we don't need a neutron collector either. You can just skip making you can just skip the neutron collector, I think, and use those ingots directly to make like infinity ingots. But like infinity catalysts take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, about 10 neutronium. So I'm not actually 100% sure. Like that's at least 22 neutronium to get your infinity ingot, whereas you can make one collector and be sufficiently patient. Anyways, my point is we're going to need more shimmer leaf than can be reasonably collected in this method. So for now, we have enough to make like the jetpack, because that takes 2 air gems. But I am curious if you have better ideas for how to collect shimmer leaf. Do let me know. So with that, we are out of time for today. I hope you enjoyed this episode, and I hope to see you in the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.